Hey, another fairly long break. There is a reason, just not a great one. uh, I, consistency is not a great strong suit of mine, and, neither is motivation, but, I was able to get through that, thankfully, and, just took a fucking while. But, as an apology, I guess, this part should be very long. uh, when I was doing my test read, it took a while to get through the entire thing, which I don't think is a bad thing. Uh, Hopefully the length of the video doesn't make it too intimidating, but, well, I might be hyping this up and it could be like 20 minutes, and I'm just, that would be fucking embarrassing. But, yeah, uh, preamble might be a bit longer too. It's been 4 weeks since the last one, so there's that. Basically, I guess I just wanted to ask a couple things, to see people's opinion on it, uh, on like, well, opinion on things I have thoughts about doing, but am not really sure. Uh, Alright, sorry, I just fucking blanked out. Um, First thing I wanted to ask about, I guess, is, I've been tempted to make a Tumblr account, which I know is probably like a crime against humanity at this point, but at least it's not Twitter, so, there's that. Plus I see more people with, you know, I guess similar problems in the videos I see of Tumblr memes, which is about all the experience I have with Tumblr, watching like fucking PMC more, read memes, which, that's probably enough experience. But, I don't even know what I'd do with a Tumblr account. I don't feel like I'd do much with it, but having it so that I can, have it, I guess. If you guys feel like that's a good idea, then I might be more liable to do it, I guess. Uh, I said I had a couple things, but now that I think about it, that might be the only thing. So, yeah, this this one might end up being pretty long, which, hopefully is a good thing in your eyes, cause it is in mine. But, um, sorry. He's blanking again. Alright, shit. Before I fucking go into like a coma or something, let's start this, I guess. Okay. Shit. Now having more clear plan of action, we start walking through the massive city, looking for a place to buy clothes as well as a place to rest. By the time we started walking around the city, it was already a bit past noon. So, while it wasn't particularly late yet, we wouldn't have enough time to explore the entire city, if we'd even have enough time to find an inn or clothes shop. Still, even as we walked through the city, all the sights put me in a state of awe. There were so many things to see, not to mention the fact that the non-human populace was still new to me. I was honestly really excited as I just wandered from place to place under the guise of scouting out the city, though I'm pretty sure Phobia knew I was more just having fun than setting up a plan. Still, he didn't seem to make any comments about it. While looking around, we found a street that was completely covered in shops, with a large building at the back of it. There was a blacksmith, a jeweler, a bar. There were even a few food shops. Luckily, there was also a tailor and inn. though they weren't the buildings I was most interested in. Like I mentioned, at the back of the street, there was a large building. It had the basic color scheme of the rest of the buildings in the city, but the building also had a depiction of a bird covered in golden flames on it. As I took a moment to look at the building, I could hear Phobia chime in. "The guild catch your eye?" he asked plainly. "Guild?" I replied, somewhat confused. "Basically, it's an organization of a bunch of wannabe heroes. And while some of them are halfway decent, a lot of them are just in it for the glory. They're a fairly big organization in a few cities. They basically just help out civilians that request them. The big shots are usually sent off on more important jobs or employed by the monarch," he informed me. Phobia seemed oddly familiar with them. But then again, he also knew a lot more about the world than he should if he was being honest about just being a personification of my negative emotions. So I don't pay it too much mind. I begin to steadily walk towards the guild, not much more interested in it. And as I do, a sign just above the door with the words "The Golden Phoenix" on it become visible, along with several people standing in front of the building, most of which with some form of armor on and a weapon on their person. As usual, not all of them are human. Please, oh, sorry. As usual, not all of them are human, and in fact, it almost seems like there are more non-humans here than in the rest of the city. It's probably not a good idea to get too friendly with the guild right now, since they'll most likely become a large portion of your enemies in the time to come, Phobia cautions me. Wouldn't it be better to have them trust me then? I say, mainly just because I want to check it out more than actually deceive them. Considering your social skills, no, Phobia responds bluntly. I let out a sigh, but turn my back on the guild and begin to head to the places we were originally sent out to look for. A bit of time had passed since we started, but the sun still had a few hours left. As I started walking towards the tailor, I admittedly wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been, still looking around and absorbing what the city had to offer. Though, through this lack of attention, I ended up falling to the ground, and as I collided with another person, Shit, I cursed as I hit the ground. It didn't really hurt, but it did end up catching me off guard. I shook my head, trying to regain my focus as I looked up to who I walked into. They had skin only slightly darker than my own, still being fairly pale, along with a sharper, somewhat intimidating face, accented by light green eyes and long black hair that went into his face a bit without covering his eyes. He was wearing an open white tailcoat with black buttons and a black dress shirt underneath, along with white dress pants and black boots with a silver zipper. He was definitely older than me, but seemed to be still fairly young, most likely in his early 20s. He was also a good bit taller than me, probably around 6 foot. Though the thing that I took the most interest in was the sheathed katana on his waist. While I could only see the hilt, it was pretty elegant, having a black hilt with an emerald on the bottom of it. He extended his hand out to me after a moment with a kind, slightly concerned look on his face. Oh my god, sorry. He extended his hand out to me after a moment with a kind, slightly concerned look on his face. "I apologize. Let me help you up," he says with a calm tone. I grabbed onto his hand as he pulled me up, though the second I got to my feet, I started apologizing. "Sorry, I should have been paying more attention. I just..." As I began stammering out my words, he cut me off. It's alright. No need to be sorry. It's just as much my fault as it is yours, he says with a small smile on his face. I see. I say, unsure of where to go with the conversation now, or if I should just leave. Luckily, he picks up the slack and talks in place of me. Forgive the assumption, but you're new here, correct? He asks. Yeah, I just got here today, actually. I was headed to the tailor and got a bit distracted by the guild. I reply honestly. I see. I was actually heading to the guild myself. He informs me. Do, do you work there? I ask, now much more interested in the conversation, though it seems that interest is noticed by Phobia as I hear him faintly sigh. Not quite, though I do work with them on various occasions. I'm one of the head guards for Iversky, actually, he says, seeming almost embarrassed as he rubs the back of his head. This seemed to set off some flags with Phobia as he talks to me. Let's wrap this up soon. The less time we spend with him around, the better, he cautions me, though I end up ignoring him for the most part as I continue talking, a bit more comfortable now. Really? That's incredible, I say, a little bit surprised. To be so young and yet still be such an accomplished person. He kind of reminds me of the heroes I would read about in the stories I had back at the tower now that I think about it. But I'm getting off track again. Thank you. I'm very much blessed to have been given my position, he says earnestly. I'm sorry for changing the subject, but you said you were heading to the tailor's, correct? He asks, suddenly changing the topic. Yeah, I've gotten enough stares to know my appearance is unusual, I reply, now somewhat embarrassed myself. I hope this doesn't come across as rude, but are you able to purchase a new outfit for yourself? He asks, having brought up a question neither myself or Phobia had considered. Why did we not talk about this earlier? I think to myself, trying to talk to Phobia. I had a plan for it. I was just waiting to see how long it took you to realize, he says in a somewhat arrogant tone. After a moment, I realized that to the person in front of me, it seemed like I had just spaced out and stopped talking, somewhat embarrassed by both that fact and the fact that I had not considered the problem that I would need to buy the outfit with money that I don't have. I reply, after a somewhat long silence. I didn't really take that into account, I say, looking towards the ground. He let out a slight chuckle before he responds. Would you mind if I offered some assistance, then? He asks kindly. What do you mean? I ask. I knew what he meant, but I didn't really know how to react to having someone who was a complete stranger offering to buy something for me. I felt somewhat shameful, if I'm honest. He said nothing as a response, and instead placed several gold coins in my hand as a substitute for an answer. Are you sure this is okay? I ask again, feeling bad. Not because I felt like he was looking down on me or anything like that. I simply felt bad because I didn't feel like I really deserved it. Not only had I done nothing to help him, I I came here just after murdering an entire village. Of course it's fine. You seem like a nice kid, he tells me. I feel almost sick as he says so, a wave of guilt rushing over me. I'm sorry to cut our conversation short, but I should be heading to the guild soon. Though before I leave, might I ask your name? He asks before closing out the conversation. Phobia Alvin, I stutter out, still not used to the false name. Luca Wayvile. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, Phobia. He nods slightly, with a gentle smile on his face, before moving past me towards the guild. Well, let's get your new outfit. Then you can rest if you want, Phobia says, interrupting my thoughts for a moment. I simply nod as I begin moving towards the tailor. I again wind up not paying attention as I walk towards our destination, though this time for a different reason. Luca. He seems like a truly nice person. He helped a stranger for no real reason. He's a top guard for the city. Even his appearance... That was awful. Even his appearance seems to be that of a hero. His eyes are intimidating, and yet it feels oddly safe around him. I'm probably looking too far into this. In fact, it would be better if I didn't think about this at all. If everything continues the way it's going, I'm inevitably going to have to fight him. That thought fills me with both fear and guilt. Thankfully, as I approach the tailor, I don't end up running into anyone again, and my thoughts are cut short. Before entering, I take a moment longer to look at the building. While it has the same white color as most other buildings, the gold accents seem to be replaced with a deep crimson color, and the name The Twin Horns can be seen on a sign next to the store. I take a deep breath before stepping inside, still a little worried about having to talk with others. As I enter, I start to take a look around. I notice a black and red color scheme throughout the store, along with a variety of clothes on racks and mannequins. There's anything from regal clothes that look like something a prince would wear, to clothes that look more akin to armor for an adventurer. Though, considering its proximity to the guild, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. Anything catch your eye? Phobia asks me. I nod slightly before I begin to grab a few items. While the items I grab aren't particularly flashy, they seem good enough to me. I head to the changing room near the back of the store and put on the newly acquired outfit. I was hoping you would go for something a bit more intimidating, Phobia says with a tinge of disappointment as I look towards the mirror in the changing room. Once again, I'm faced with my own reflection, no longer using Phobia's power. The claw on my hand is gone, and my hair and eyes had returned to their original orange and brown colors. While Phobia was right about the outfit not being anything special, it was comfortable for me, and I thought it looked nice enough. I wore a dark green hoodie, a deep gray shirt underneath for my upper body, while wearing a white belt with a black buckle along with white shoes and black jeans for my lower body. I looked back at my reflection with a slight smile, now feeling a bit more comfortable, knowing I wouldn't get as many disapproving stares. After observing myself for a moment longer, I stepped out of the changing room and nervously headed towards the checkout in my old clothes. This everything? The charcoal-skinned demon asked me in a bored voice. Yes, I reply quietly. The demon nods before looking over the clothes I was planning to purchase. 2 gold will cover it, they say after a moment. I chose not to say anything else to avoid the embarrassment of having to stutter out whatever reply I had. Instead, I simply chose to hand him a couple of the coins given to me by Luca. In response, the demon simply nods before handing me back my clothes without another word. He didn't seem to care much for social interaction either, which is good for both of us, I suppose. I step out of the tailor, now excited to go to the inn, so I can change back into my new outfit and get some rest. Luckily, the inn and tailor were fairly close to each other, barely being a minute's walk. The inn was much like the tailor in the fact that it had the same white color with accents of navy, though that wasn't the only similarity. The sign also wore a similar name, labeling it the Twin Halos. I decided not to really think about the relation between the locations, though, since there were far more important things to be worrying about. The sun was starting to fade from the sky, and I was already incredibly tired from the long walk to Iversky. So again, I stepped into the building and was greeted by sleek wooden walls and floors and a large juxtaposition to the exterior. Though the appearance of the inn wasn't the only thing to greet me, as I heard an upbeat voice call out to me, "Evening. Welcome to the Twin Halos," said a voice coming from an angel with pure white, almost shining skin, wearing a blue and white vest. I headed towards the desk, resolving my remaining willpower for the day to try to get through one more brief conversation. "Hello. Would it be okay if I rented a room for the night?" I asked in a voice that was only barely audible to the angel. "Of course. It's only 50 silver for a night. Does that work for you?" he questioned, probably a little worried I wouldn't be able to pay, considering I was still wearing my old clothes. "Oh, I only have gold on me right now," I'd say, starting to worry a bit. "That'll be fine. I can either let you rent the room for 2 nights or give you your change. Whatever works for you," he says in a kind voice. "Go for 2 nights. We'll probably need to extend it either way," Phobia advises me. "I'd like to rent the room for 2 days." I let the angel know before handing him the coins. "Perfect. Now then, let me guide you to your room," he says before stepping out from behind the desk and guiding me through the wooden halls of the inn. Eventually, stopping in front of a door with 101-02 carved into it. He inserts a key into the door, and as it swings open, the inside of the room, as it's he inserts a key into the door as it swings open. The inside of the room is fairly nice as far as I was concerned. The bed looked soft, and it had a small desk along with some cabinets, and even a stocked bookshelf. The angel removes the key from the door before handing it to me. "I hope you enjoy your stay. If you have any problems or questions, please let me know," the angel says before exiting the room. To which I quickly closed the door and locked it behind me, instantly heading towards the bed before flopping down on it. It felt a lot nicer than the bed I had at the tower, though that's not exactly hard to accomplish. Though you got distracted a few times, I'd say we did pretty well today. And even if I felt like we talked a bit too long to that Luca guy, it was valuable information, considering we'll most likely end up fighting him at one point," Phobia says, though I tense up as he mentions fighting Luca. "For now, you can rest. We have a long road ahead of us, and we'll need to be in top form, so if you really need a break, then go for it." Phobia seems to change the subject. I'm unsure if he noticed that talking about fighting made me uncomfortable and he was trying to be nice, or if it was just a coincidence, but I'm grateful for it all the same. I'm worried about what the future may hold for me, if I'm being honest. But I've come this far. There's nothing left to do but face it head on, no matter what the consequence may be. As I think those final thoughts, my eyelids begin to get heavier, and exhaustion took over my mind. Alright, so it wasn't quite as long as I thought it was, but it's a decent amount. Let me actually check. Yeah, this will end up being the longest part so far, which uh, I'm happy about. Good starter there. Um, oh right, there was a few things I wanted to talk about at the start that I forgot. Um, I don't know how long it's gonna be till the next part, because there's, as you saw, there was a character introduced here that has colored, uh, has colored text, which I'm sure you can assume what that means. That said, there's going to be another character with colored text that will be introduced in Iris Sky fairly shortly, and I'm a bit worried about them, because you may not have realized this, but I am a guy, and this character is not. So I'm a little bit worried because I'm the only one that's voice acting for this, and I use the term voice acting very loosely, but I'm not sure quite what to do, cause I'm I don't know. It's just my choices for now are hold on, excuse me, um are going for my female voice, which I don't think is the worst female voice in like ever, but it's also, still going to be my voice, so there's a limit to how good I can make it. Uh, Using a fucking voice changer, which is kind of shameful, and for me, if I'm honest, since a lot of this, a lot of this channel is about both my writing and my voice acting, so it's not really my voice if I'm using a voice changer, so I'd prefer to avoid that at all costs. So the third option is me just using my normal speaking voice, which I'm very much worried about because I feel like it'll give that character a lot less personality, and since they're gonna end up being a pretty major character, I don't. I'd like to avoid that as well. So yeah, that's a bit of a concern, but uh, yeah, that's we'll see what happens. Um, I do hope that you've enjoyed this part though. I genuinely enjoyed reading it and making it, and hey, new character. So that was something I was very excited about. Plus, our main character has their official look now. That's pretty much going to be their look throughout the rest of the rest of the story. So yeah, I I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I don't know, comment, I guess. Don't like if you don't want to, but comment. Do it, bitch. Bye.